Everybody Writes, Your Go-To Guide to Creating Ridiculously Good Content by Handley. Picture this. A woman stands in a gym, staring at the floor, psyching herself up to do something most people take for granted. She wants to do a single push-up. Now, I know what you're thinking. One push-up? That's the goal? But here's the thing. For her, this felt like climbing Everest in flip-flops. She came from a family that was, let's just say, allergic to athletics. More couch potato than Olympic athlete. The kind of folks who'd volunteer to keep score rather than actually play the game. Her entire life, she'd written herself off as someone who just couldn't. A push-up seemed as achievable as sprouting wings and flying to the moon. But something changed. She decided to try anyway. It was awkward. Imagine a newborn giraffe learning to walk, but less graceful. She felt like a complete fraud at the gym. But she kept showing up. 5 months of this. Building muscles she didn't even know existed. And then one random Tuesday, something miraculous happened. She actually did it. One perfect push-up. That woman is Handley, a brilliant writer, and this triumphant push-up moment? It's the beating heart of the book we're diving into today. Everybody Writes. You might be wondering why we're kicking off a conversation about writing with a gym story. Here's the beautiful connection. Most of us feel the exact same way about writing that Anne felt about that push-up. We've convinced ourselves that good writing is some kind of mystical gift, like being able to wiggle your ears or roll your tongue. Either you've got it or you don't. We imagine writers as these mythical creatures, touched by inspiration, channeling words from the universe. And the rest of us? We're just pretenders, fumbling with words like we're trying to juggle flaming chainsaws. But what if we've got it completely backwards? What if writing well isn't magic at all, but more like building muscle? A skill you can develop, a habit you can form, one word at a time. That's the beautiful promise Handley offers in this book. She takes a sledgehammer to the myth of the born writer and shows us that good writing is part habit, part technique, and part genuinely caring about your reader. So here's my promise to you. By the end of our time together, you'll see writing in a completely different light. You'll realize you already have everything you need to become a clear, confident, powerful writer. No lightning bolts of inspiration required, just a roadmap. And today, we're cracking that map wide open. Let's start with a truth bomb that changes everything. If you've got a website, congratulations, you're a publisher. If you're on social media, you're in marketing, which means every single one of us is a writer now. Think about it for a second. Those emails you fire off, the comments you leave on Instagram, the tweets you craft, that's all writing. In our hyper-connected world, your words are doing the talking when you're not even in the room. They're your digital handshake, your first impression, your representative to the world. They can make you look brilliant, or, well, let's just say less than brilliant. So that idea floating around, that writing doesn't matter anymore because we've got TikTok and memes? Handley calls nonsense on that. Writing matters more than ever, not less. But if you're sitting there thinking, okay, sure, but I'm just not a writer, then we need to do some demolition work first. Time to knock down those mental walls holding you back. The first wall that needs to come down? That rigid 5-paragraph essay structure they drilled into you in high school. You know the one. Introduction, 3 body paragraphs each starting with firstly, secondly, thirdly, and a conclusion that basically repeats everything you just said. Sure, it was helpful training wheels when you were learning, but in the real world, it's a creativity coffin. It's as exciting to write as watching paint dry, and even more boring to read. Anne's advice is wonderfully simple. Let it go. Set yourself free from the high school formula. The second wall we need to demolish is the dreaded writer's block. Anne doesn't even believe it's real. As one journalist brilliantly put it, "My father never got truck driver's block. A carpenter doesn't stare at lumber in existential dread." That reluctance to start? It's just fear dressed up in fancy clothes. So how do you outsmart it? You trick yourself. Anne shares this genius technique from writer John McPhee. Whenever he faced that terrifying blank page, he'd simply type, "Dear Mother." Why does this work like magic? Because suddenly you're not trying to create the next great American novel, you're just writing a letter to someone you know. Your whole energy shifts. You relax. You sound like yourself, not like you swallowed a thesaurus. For you, it might not be, "Dear Mom." Maybe it's your best friend, your sister, or heck, even your dog. The point is to write to one real person. That transforms writing from a performance into a conversation. And conversations? Those flow naturally. Now for the biggest, most liberating wall we need to tear down, the myth of perfection. This brings us to what might be the single most freeing concept in the entire book: embrace the ugly first draft. Anne calls it the TUFD for short. Here's the secret successful writers don't advertise. Many of them are actually terrible writers on their first drafts. The difference? They're exceptional editors of their own work. Brilliance happens in the rewrite. That first draft is supposed to be a mess. Anne calls it the show up and throw up phase. You write terribly. You write like nobody's watching. You don't worry about grammar, spelling, or finding that perfect metaphor. You just dump everything from your brain onto the page. You let sentences be clunky. You let ideas be scattered. It's the literary equivalent of staying in your pajamas all day, eating cereal for dinner. No judgment, no pressure. And here's where the magic happens. Once that ugly first draft exists, you're no longer facing a blank page of doom. You've got raw material. Something to shape, to polish, to transform. As one writing teacher wisely said, the draft needs fixing, but first it needs writing. After you've created your beautiful mess, Anne gives us the next crucial step. Walk away. Put some distance between you and your word vomit. Take a walk. Watch an episode of your favorite show. Sleep on it. When you come back with fresh eyes, you'll suddenly see what works and what doesn't. That's when the real work begins. The rewrite. This is where humor emerges, where the perfect analogies appear, where good writing actually happens. So we've knocked down the mental barriers and embraced the messy first draft. But how do we make our writing actually connect with people? This leads us to the soul of the book, the philosophy that everything else builds on. Anne calls it developing pathological empathy. Good writing isn't about showing off how clever you are. It's about serving your reader. It's about getting out of your own head and climbing into theirs. Empathy isn't just a warm, fuzzy feeling. It's a discipline. It's the relentless, almost obsessive focus on your reader's perspective. You anticipate their questions before they ask them. You make their experience as smooth and enjoyable as possible. How do you practice this? Anne gives us a powerful exercise. For every idea you want to write about, keep asking yourself, so what? I want to write about our new collaborative software. So what? Because it helps teams work together remotely. So what? Because right now, remote collaboration is a nightmare. People overwrite each other's work, lose earlier versions, and it causes massive frustration. So what? Because that frustration makes people stressed, wastes hours of their time, and makes work feel like an uphill battle. You keep drilling down with so what until you hit the human core. You move from talking about features to talking about feelings. That's where empathy lives. That's what makes people actually care. This empathic mindset should guide everything, from your biggest ideas down to the tiniest sentence choices. For example, Anne gives us this simple but powerful rule: place the most important words at the beginning of each sentence. We tend to clutter the beginning of our sentences with qualifiers and clauses that make readers work harder than they should. Check out this sentence from a health guide. According to the National Assessment of Adult Literacy, released in 2006 by the U.S. Department of Education, 30 million adults struggle with basic reading tasks. What's the most important thing in that sentence? Not the report name or the year it came out. The key fact is that 30 million adults struggle with reading. So flip it. 30 million adults struggle with reading, according to the National Assessment of Adult Literacy report. It's a small tweak, but it makes a world of difference. You're respecting your reader's time and attention. You're giving them the good stuff first. You're being empathic. This empathic approach separates memorable writing from forgettable writing. But to do it consistently, you need a process. Anne calls it a writing GPS. This isn't some rigid formula like that old 5-paragraph essay. It's a flexible 12-step roadmap to get you from "I have no idea what to write" to "Wow, I actually wrote something good." It includes things we've already talked about: defining your goal, reframing it for your reader, producing that ugly first draft. But the first step of the GPS is critical. Think before you ink. Before you write a single word, you need to know what you're actually trying to say. What's the one key message you want your reader to remember? Write that sentence down and stick it at the top of your page. Let it be your North Star, keeping you on course when you start to wander. Shakespeare probably wrote Hamlet with something like, "Troubled prince loses his mind, kills a bunch of people, including the uncle who murdered his dad." Okay, maybe not exactly, but you get the idea. Once you've got your core idea, you need to organize your thoughts. For some people, that's a detailed outline. For others, it's a mind map or sticky notes plastered all over the wall. Anne says she just makes a list because it feels less intimidating than writing. The method doesn't matter. What matters is having structure. Good writing, Anne says, is like math. It has logic. It feels solid. It gives readers confidence that you know where you're going. So we've got the right mindset and a process. Now let's talk about the actual words themselves. This is where we get into crafting ridiculously good content. First, use real words. Our professional lives are drowning in jargon, buzzwords, and what Anne calls frankenwords. Those monstrous, stitched-together abominations like leverage, synergize, incentivize, solutioning, value add. Anne proposes a hilarious test. Would you whisper this word to your sweetheart in the dark? Would you tell your partner you don't have the bandwidth for something? Or would you just say you don't have time? Would you say you want to leverage your relationship? Or would you say you want to build on it? The answer is pretty obvious. Jargon creates distance. Real words create connection. Next, you need to bring your writing to life. The best way to do that? Show, don't tell. It's an old rule, but it's the golden rule. Don't just tell me the moon is shining. Show me the glint of light on broken glass. In business terms, this means you don't list your product's features. You show how it lives in the real world. You show how it solves problems, eases burdens, or makes someone's day better. And you do that with details. Specifics. Don't just say you helped a client. Tell me about Alan Arakelian from accounting. Don't just say your software provides a solution. Show me how it saved a team from the nightmare of missed deadlines and soul-crushing conference calls. Specific details make your writing vivid and human. They paint pictures in your reader's mind. A huge part of showing rather than telling is using strong, active verbs. Ditch the wimpy verbs for bold action words. Instead of increased quickly, say it surged. Instead of cut his finger, say he slashed it. Strong verbs give your sentences energy and pulse. And while we're on the topic, let's talk about adverbs, those words usually ending in "ly." Stephen King famously said, "The road to hell is paved with adverbs." Why the hate? Because adverbs are often a sign you're not confident in your verbs. Instead of, "He closed the door firmly," why not just, "He slammed the door"? A stronger verb often makes the adverb completely unnecessary. Ditch them unless they genuinely change your meaning. Now, all this work, the mindset, the process, the craft, ultimately serves one purpose: telling a story. But Anne makes a crucial distinction here. What matters isn't storytelling in the traditional sense, with all the embellishment and creative license that implies. What matters is telling a true story well. For a business, for a brand, for you as a person, your story is about who you are and what you do for others. It's how you make people's lives better. Anne gives us a simple but powerful formula for quality content. Utility times inspiration times empathy. Utility means you help your audience do something that matters to them. You solve a problem. You ease their pain. Inspiration means your content is fresh, creative, and uniquely yours. And empathy means you relentlessly focus on your reader, seeing the world through their eyes. Notice those multiplication signs. They're crucial. Because if any one of those elements is zero, your entire content effort equals zero. Your story doesn't need to be epic. Anne says one of the best pieces of content she ever encountered was a simple guide to dishwasher repair, because it delivered exactly what she needed with clear utility, inspiration, and empathy for her frustration with broken glass stuck in a drain hose. It told a true story well. This is the bigger game we're playing. It's not just about crafting a good sentence, it's about finding the story only you can tell. It's about developing a voice that's uniquely yours. It's about answering the most important question: how will you change the world, even just a little bit? Ultimately, this whole journey circles back to where we started, that single push-up. Becoming a better writer isn't some mystical overnight transformation. It's a habit. It's a muscle you build day by day. Anne encourages us to set a daily word count goal, not a time goal. Even if it's just 50 words a day to start. About the length of a text message. The point is to show up, consistently. Because writing isn't magic, it's a habit. And like any habit, it starts with one small action, repeated, over and over, until it becomes part of who you are. As we wrap up our exploration of Anne Handley's Everybody Writes, I want to leave you with some final thoughts. What strikes me most about this book is its incredible sense of empowerment. It's like having an encouraging friend who believes in you even when you don't believe in yourself. In a world that often makes creativity seem like an exclusive club with velvet ropes, Anne throws the doors wide open and invites everyone in. The central message is one of the most hopeful ideas you'll encounter. Writing isn't a gift reserved for a talented few, but a fundamental skill we can all develop. It's a tool for thinking, for connecting, and for making our mark on the world. And for you, wherever you are in life right now, this message couldn't be more relevant. This isn't just a book for professional marketers or content creators. It's for you. These principles aren't just for crafting blog posts or company newsletters. They're for the college application essay that will show a university who you really are. They're for the first cover letter that'll land you your dream job. They're for the social media presence that becomes your personal brand. In every one of those moments, your words represent you. Learning to use them with clarity, empathy, and confidence is one of the most valuable skills you can ever develop. So how do you start? Right now, today. Here are 3 simple actions you can take to begin building your writing muscle. First, for the next week, fully embrace the ugly first draft. For every writing task, whether it's a school paper or an email, give yourself permission to be messy. Don't edit while you write. Just get the ideas out. Write badly. Write freely. Experience the freedom of separating creation from critique. Second, find your dear mom. The next time you write something, pick one specific person, a friend, family member, or teacher you respect. Picture them sitting across from you. Write directly to them. Notice how your tone shifts, how your language becomes more natural, how the fear of writing melts away and becomes simple talking on the page. And third, for just one day, become a jargon detective. Pay attention to all the buzzwords and corporate speak you hear around you. Notice how those words fail to connect, how they create fog instead of clarity. Then consciously choose to use real, simple human words in your own communication. The journey to becoming a better writer doesn't start with some grand gesture. It begins with small, consistent effort. One ugly first draft. One sentence written to a friend. One real word chosen over jargon. It begins, just like Anne's story, with that first single push-up. The magic isn't in waiting for inspiration. The magic is in the habit. It's in showing up, day after day, and doing the work. The magic, you'll discover, was in you all along. That was a deep dive into Everybody Writes by Anne Handley. We've explored the core principles today, but I'll be honest with you, a summary can only ever be a map. The real treasure comes from making the journey yourself. The true magic of a book like this happens in those quiet moments, when a particular story clicks, or a simple phrase completely reframes how you see your own abilities. This summary is your starting point, designed to help you see if this guide is worth your time. If anything we've talked about today has sparked something in you, I encourage you to grab a copy. Reading it isn't just about learning. It's an experience that can genuinely transform your relationship with the written word and ultimately with the world. You'll find a link to the book in the description below. Also, if you found this summary valuable and it gave you a new tool or perspective, please take a moment to hit that like button and subscribe to the channel. It helps me know we're on the right track, and it ensures you won't miss our next journey into another transformative book. Let's keep growing together.